Hello friends, this is Cara-Renee with B.Reborn Art and Healing, coming to you with Mixed Media 101, Episode 1. This is a revised playlist, or will be a revised playlist. I have an old Mixed Media playlist, Mixed Media 101 playlist, but I'm not going to marry them together because I want to do this one a little bit more sequentially. So you can definitely check the other one out if you're interested. But we are going to make homemade texture paste. Now, I did this years ago, like when I first started doing mixed media, and I was a little bit picky back then because I was doing some really official mixed media work, and I was afraid that I wasn't going to get the same results as store-bought texture paste. So you and I are going to test this together. So texture paste is this paste that you can use through your stencils, or not even through stencils. It can be just scraped on or whatever. And it creates a raised texture on your surface that is really, really beautiful. And so it can be called modeling paste. It can be called texture paste. Those are just a couple of the names that they might be known by. But I thought we would go ahead and give a try to making some homemade texture paste. But we're also going to do one sampling where I'm going to show you what my Liquitex very expensive flexible modeling paste, how it performs versus what we're going to create. And I'm hoping that this is going to work, but you know what I say, perfection is not at play in the studio. I'm not going to edit out the things that don't work. We're just going to figure it out together. So what you need, there are two recipes that I found for modeling paste. One, you can use baking soda, and the other one you can use talcum powder. I decided I didn't want the talcum powder blowing around in my face here, so I'm going to go ahead and try the baking soda, which I never did before. So if you want to take a screenshot of this, and I'll also try to take a picture of it, but this is the recipe. So for the modeling paste that takes baking soda, you want 3 tablespoons of that, 1 tablespoon of white glue, and 1 tablespoon of acrylic paint. Or you can do 1 part acrylic paint, 1 part talcum powder, and 1/2 of a part of glue. So we are going to do just regular white texture paste. And then I thought, wow, you know, I've talked before in other mixed media videos, as well as probably Mixed Media 101 version 1, where we talked about colorizing texture paste. But because texture paste originally is made from white acrylic, generally if your texture paste is white, it's got white acrylic in it. So then when you add another color to it, like for instance the sap green hue, you're going to get a really muted down, lighter color of the sap green hue. So I thought, why not use this as our paint instead of white acrylic paint? So we're going to do 1 white and 1 with the sap green hue. This is one of my favorite colors, so I thought we would give it a try. So I need to grab a towel because I have a feeling this is going to get messy. I've got my wipes here as well. I've got a couple of forks for stirring. I've got 2 containers. I'm going to go to the Dollar Tree and pick up some jars, because if this works well, just small jars, if this works well, I will probably mix up some of my most used colors and have this on hand. But it will keep in a sealed container for a good long time. These seal pretty darn good, so that's what we're going to be using. So I'm going to go ahead and open up one here and just set it right here. I'm going to shift here in a second. But I've got my baking soda. I've got a DecoArt Americana white, Snow White titanium paint. I've got my Elmer's Glue All. That's pretty old, so I'm hoping it's going to be fine. I've got a tablespoon, because that's our measurement, is in tablespoons. And then I picked up some stencils because I want to show you actually how they're going to work. These are new. I got these at our local antique shop. It's in town, and it's a combination art supply, antiques, old lace, like it's just a mishmash of stuff. But they had these in their art section. I thought, wow, Tim Holtz stencils. So I picked up a few. So we're going to work with those. And then this is another bundle. I'll link these ones. I just got them from Amazon, but they're a really decent size. Let me give you the measurements on them because they're nice for smaller projects. So they are, it looks like 8 by 8x5, so really good size, and I love the roses on that, so I thought we'd give it a try. So I've got some, this is just Amazon packaging. I thought we would use that to do our stenciling on, just to show you kind of how everything performs. So, oh, why is my light on? That's interesting. Let me get that off. I never had that on. I must have hit it. I had my camera all turned around because I did my Beloved Beauty Monthly yesterday, so I had to turn the camera all around, and now it's all whacked out. Okay, so here's our container. So again, we're going to mix 3 tablespoons of baking powder, and I'm going to open this up a little bit more here just so that I can get into it a little bit easier. Let's take off that extra bit of paper. And we're going to measure out 3 tablespoons of baking soda. This is baking soda, right? Yes. Oh my goodness. 1, 2, 3. I haven't done this in ages, you guys. I have not tried to make this in ages. I'm going to actually measure out the other dry ingredients at the same time in this one, because once my spoon gets wet, it's going to be difficult to get into this dry medium, especially the baking soda. So I'm just going to do the second batch at the same time here. And I'm just making it sure it's pretty level. If you want it, if it's not the consistency you want, I believe you just add more of your dry medium, which would be either your powder or your baking soda. So play around with this. Okay, so set that aside. And then I'm going to put that one up there because we don't need that again. And we need 1 tablespoon of glue. So I'm just going to open this baby up and just do some little pouring here. Okay, we're going to just pour some white glue in there. Okay, like so. I know I have a big bottle of this white glue, but I cannot figure out where I put it. So I wish I had a popsicle stick or something here that I could get this out with, but let's just be patient and let it drippy drip a minute. So there are so many videos out there on YouTube about how to make. We're going to also do a video on how to make homemade gesso, but there's a lot of videos, you guys. I am not the only one doing this, so you can definitely check out other folks and see what they're offering. So yeah, there's a ton of people. So I'm just going to use the lid here for this so I can set that down. And then we're going to get 1 tablespoon of acrylic paint. So let me shake that up a little bit. This is Deco Art Americana is my favorite kind of craft acrylic. So I really love it. In fact, I plan on, as I reestablish my supply, I'm going to go towards the Americana paints. You can get them at Hobby Lobby. So, okay, 1 tablespoon of white acrylic paint. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put that in. And we're going to do some mixing. I honestly didn't really give this a fair shake when I tried it before because I felt a little bit snooty about it. So I don't know if the fork is the way to go here. It's pretty thick. This doesn't make all that much. I thought it would make more. Interesting. It's really actually a good amount. You know, not even hardly more than you would need for a project. So, oh wow. And this is about the consistency you want. So I'm hoping you guys can see. It's kind of hard to show on camera how it's falling off of the fork. Boy, I wish I could show that better. There's really no way with the angle, but it's a really good thickness. It's like, gosh, I don't even know how to describe it. I guess like a milkshake almost in consistency. So isn't that awesome? I love it. Perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this fork cleaned off. And I'm just going to grab a baby wipe. And then we're going to go right into the other batch and do our do our colored one and see how that goes. I don't know. I'm just going to cap that up really quick. I'm going to wipe this out so we don't have any white residue from the acrylic paint. So give me just a moment. And as I mentioned in my Beloved Beauty Monthly for February, I was not able to squeeze in the first episode of Mixed Media 101 in January. So this is the one for February, and I'm going to try to do 2, but we'll have to see how it goes. It might be one being like this kind of video, and then maybe another will be like playing around with some mixed media techniques in a simplified fashion. So okay, so we're going to get this is our other batch that has our 3 tablespoons of baking soda, and I'm going to do I guess it doesn't matter which I do first. I'm covered with paint. I just hit the side of that paint bottle. Okay, so let's just start with the glue. So we need 1 tablespoon of white glue. I've heard you can use PVA glue too. I never thought of that, but I imagine you could. If I don't find my other glue, I'll probably have to resort to trying that, because I don't know. I had like a big like gallon size one, because I used to do a lot of teaching mixed media. I did local mixed media classes when I had a venue, and then I lost my venue when COVID happened, and so I never was able to go back to that, which is a bummer. I don't have any place to conduct workshops, otherwise I'd still be doing them, because I love to teach. So I'm just going to wipe this spoon out. Oh, I just broke that. Goodness gracious. That's a terrible measuring spoon. It's going to break right there on that bend. Okay, so now we're going to get a tablespoon of this sap green hue. This is an artist acrylic. You do not need an artist acrylic. I just love this color, and I want to give it a try in this project because I think I would really use it. So we're going to put a tablespoon in here. Okay, about a tablespoon. Okay, get that out of there. It's a little bit thicker than the other paint, so I'm hoping that I can get this out so I do not waste it. It's spendy stuff. I should have a spoon in here, but I don't. I only grabbed the forks, so I'll have to preserve that later. So we're going to go ahead and mix in the same fashion. Hopefully this is going to work. I don't know. Maybe a disaster. Oh my goodness, this is going to be epic. Oh my goodness, this is amazing. This is the true color of that paint. Oh my goodness. I cannot wait to hold this up and show you. So this is the answer to that dilemma over, you know, how do we colorize texture paste without changing the composition? So you have a texture paste that that's made, it's already pre-made, it has all the components, and then you start adding acrylic paint into it, and it can change the composition of the texture paste. And that's always been my concern with playing around with it. But look, it's the same thickness. It's actually a little thicker, if I do say so myself. I'm going to put just a tad bit more glue in there. I feel like it's a little bit too thick. Okay, because that's our only other wet ingredient in this case other than our paint. So let's just mix that up and get that a little bit runnier. Wow, this is a gorgeous color. Oh, I love that. Okay. This is exciting. I'm going to show you what this looks like. Let me get rid of that fork again here. So this is the color. I don't know if you guys can see it on camera. So see how dark green that is? You can kind of see it in this area where, see the black lines? That's where it shows transparency, but it's a really deep, rich kind of forest green. And look at the color of the texture paste. It is like spot on. Like, that is amazing. Oh, I am sold on this idea of making colorized texture paste. Okay, So let me set that aside and let me just cap up some of this stuff so I don't knock it over. And then we're going to do some experimenting with, again, the store-bought, my favorite Liquitex brand texture paste or modeling paste, and see how this performs. Now, as far as like the test between this is my favorite because when it dries really hard, like almost crispy, and I really like that. I rely on it, I trust it, and so I'm curious about how that's going to dry. Is it going to dry hard like this? So, but we're not going to be able to see that right away. So I'll have to come back in a future video maybe when I'm doing another one and just say, hey, pop on and say, oh, this is what the results were of the texture paste that we made on camera. So let's go ahead and try the white first. So I'm just going to open that up. I'm going to grab a couple of palette knives here. I forgot to get something to do my stenciling with, so pardon me. Pardon moi. Alright, I like the square ones for this, so this is the kind I like. But I did not pull another one out, and I know I have more than one. Where are you? There it is. Okay. Very, very not taken care of texture or a palette knife. It's okay. It's very well loved. Okay, so let's get. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 pieces with the store-bought texture paste, and then one. Oh, you know what we should do? No, we'll do that in another video. I thought we would play around and add some color to the store-bought one, but I don't think we'll do that today. So we'll do 2 strips of this with each color. Not each color. Oh my goodness. So I will do the homemade, store-bought of the white, and then homemade, store-bought of the color to start with, and then we'll see where we end up after that. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this stencil, and I am going to just, I don't want the whole thing because I want to put the other texture paste there. Actually, let's write on that so we don't mix them up. So this is store, and this is homemade. Okay, let's just do it. I'm excited. Okay, so I love the consistency of this. This is actually feels like it got a little thinned out. It's weird. So the thinner it is, the more it's going to go under your stencil. So that's why I like it to be thicker. But let's just see how it performs. We don't know until we try. It's feeling pretty normal. It feels runnier, so it might go under our stencil. So we might need to add a little bit more baking soda. We might. Let's see. I like to get it really smoothed out. I have a feeling a lot of this is going under the stencil. Just so you know, that's just my feeling as I'm putting it on. So, come on, Cara-Renee. Maybe not. Yeah, so see how it got a little bit mushed together. So I'm going to set that one right there for a second, and I'm going to wipe this off really quick, and we're going to add a little bit more baking soda to this one and get it a little bit thicker. I think that's what we need. I think that will help. So we're going to find out together, right? I mean, not that that's horrible, it's just, it's not a very clear impression. I should have tested it out first. Okay, so let's just get that wiped off, get that out of the way. We've got extra paper here, so we will just continue on. So let me do the same here. Homemade. And yeah, we'll do homemade both colors on this one here. Oh, there went the balloons again. So bizarre. Okay, and I don't know if it's the stencil, so let me try the other stencil, one of the Tim Holtz stencils, just for kicks. Let's see, let's try this one. This one's really pretty. Okay, so let's get a little bit more baking soda in here. So I'm just going to pour some in. I'm not measuring. Let's see what let's see what happens here. That's getting thicker, much better. Yeah, much thicker. I almost feel like that one got runnier, but that could be my imagination. I think what I didn't like when I did this before is I felt like it separated over time, and I didn't like that because I felt like it compromised its working properties, but I don't know that it would have. It just maybe performed different, like it just felt different. So we're going to go ahead, I can't really get this whole thing in here. So this is just a test. So I'm going to put it right there, and I'm going to go in with my, wiping off that palette knife from the runny stuff. That feels better. Yeah, that feels better. I think I have too much though. Let's go lighter. Okay. The stencils I got are cheap, so it could be not these 10 holds ones, but the other ones. So the quality of stencil can have an impact on how good your stenciling works out as well. So if it's not super defined, although that one seemed okay. I like the consistency of this one better though. This is better. I don't feel like, I don't have this sense that it's going under the stencil. Now you will always get a little bit of that just because it's an imperfect art in my experience, so, but I'm not worrying about that. And again, I'm not trying to get the whole stencil. I'm just trying to get a good amount as I can. And then just coming back over it, as I mentioned before, and getting the excess off the top so you don't get a lot of peaks and valleys in your texture paste. So let's go ahead and take her off and see what we got. Yeah, so it still is doing the same thing, which tells me personally, as somebody who's used a lot of different kinds of texture paste, that this is the texture paste. It's not as solid. It's just not as solid. So let's try it one more time, and we're going to add a little bit more baking soda yet again. I don't know if it's baking soda that it needs, or if it needs more. Yeah, it needs more baking soda because otherwise it's going to get runny again. So let's add a little bit more. Oh, that was a lot. Goodness gracious, that could be a problem. Let's see. So I'm coming from the perspective though of doing, you know, mixed media art that's more on the professional side of things, not as like crafty play. And so I'm a lot more I'm a lot more choosy. So that's really thick, really thick. But let's give it a try. I mean, what is it? It's you know, baking soda, glue, and paint. It's not a big deal. So let's put this stencil down again. I just want to make sure it's not all gummed up, because, and I want to use the same stencil because that's going to give us a true idea of what is causing it. It could be the stencil, because if the parts of the stencil, the open parts of the stencil are weird or too big, you can get this problem. So I just want the blobs of that texture paste off. Just gonna wipe that up, and I'm gonna go ahead and set this down again. I'm gonna put it this way this time. It almost looks like there's something wrong with this stencil. It's weird. Huh. Could be in my imagination. Okay, let's try it again. Let's try it again. I didn't do this off camera, guys. I did not test this. This is all raw video. Just you and me together, figuring it out. I feel like this is drier and it might be a better impression. Okay, it's very, very dry. Okay, let's see. Let's see what we get. Yeah, that was a little bit clearer, I feel. Let me just set that over there so I can show you what I mean. So this is the difference between, this is the one that we did where we added the first extra batch of the baking soda, and then this is the one we just did. So you can see it's a little bit better. It makes me wonder if it's the stencils though, because you know, they're new stencils, and I've never experienced that kind of bleed. So I'm going to grab one that I know is one that I've used a lot and see if I can find one that we could try out. I don't know if there's one in this batch, probably not. So we're going to just continue with the stencils we have. I'm happy with this, and again, for the purposes of junk journaling especially, and even mixed media, because we're usually not, oh my goodness, we're usually not looking in mixed media, at least I'm not looking for a perfect stencil impression. If you watched my last Sunday's Art of Truth, you would see that I'm not looking for it to be distinct. So I'm being a little bit more particular here because of the video. But this is the one that we did that was before we added more, and that was, see how run together that is? So that one was too runny. So I'm guessing we probably put 4 tablespoons between, I'm trying to compare here, guys, between this one and this one. This was 3 tablespoons, this one was probably 4, and this one was probably 5. So that's the difference, and you can see that we got different results as we went along. So I'm going to set these aside, and we're going to just do a little bit of the colored paste here now. So let me just get those out of the way, and I'm going to cap this up, and we're going to bring over the green. It's so scrumptious. Oh my gosh, I got both of these in white. Goodness gracious. Too many wipes pulling out. You do want to clean off your palette knives, at least this part, because if you don't, that can affect their use later. This part doesn't matter, but that can matter. It's pretty crusty, but I think this one's been glued together a number of times. So let's get that out of the way, and now we're going to do, I think what we'll do is we'll do the color on this one, and then we'll do the other texture paste, the store-bought one, on that one. So this is also homemade. All of this is homemade, because we want to do, if we need to add more to this, we can, in terms of baking soda. So let's try another stencil. Shall we try this one again? Yeah, why not? Let's just do it. Okay, so we're gonna tap into this green. This feels runny. It feels runny right from the get-go. Yeah, I feel like that's too runny. So let's go ahead right now and add a little bit more baking soda. That's not quite a tablespoon. I get my green fork. So it kind of depends on how thick you want it to be. So again, I like it to be very thick, because I feel like I get a better impression when it's thicker. But you guys can test it out, play around. You'll come up with your own consistency that you like. So that's the beauty of this craft. We get to play to our heart's content. Okay, so there we go. Let's try it now. Part of my problem is I'm feeling pretty ambitious, and I think I'm getting too much on my knife as well. So let's just do this. I love this idea of the color though. Brilliant. And it wasn't until I watched somebody do this homemade texture paste that I thought, well, why couldn't you substitute the white acrylic paint with a color of acrylic paint to make it colorized from the start, colorized from its conception. So we're going to see. Let's go a little bit further with that just because we've got the space on the paper. This is a beautiful stencil though, I love it. This is that cheap one I was telling you about. Okay, let's see what we got. Let the reveal be amazing. Oh, that's amazing, you guys. Look at that. Perfecto. That is awesome. Wow. Okay, cool. And so that was with probably 3.5-ish tablespoons of baking soda to get it the thickness there. So let's go ahead and try this small stencil. So it's the same as the big one in this Tim Holtz one, but I really like the pattern. And sometimes I like a smaller stencil when I'm doing certain work than like a big old 8x10 stencil. So here we go. And I'm telling you guys, this pot of Liquitex is probably $30. So man, this is incredible. This is a game changer because even if you didn't want to like save it, like you just wanted to use it all up, or you wanted to just throw it in the trash what you didn't use, what are you really out? A little bit of white glue, a little bit of paint, you know, a little bit of craft acrylic, you know, a little bit of powder, or you know, baking soda. It's crazy. I'm trying to do this whole one just because I want to see what the stencil looks like. I need to readjust my fingers here. Sorry, and now my hand's in the way, I realize. Didn't plan this very well. Okay. So, one more sweep over it. I like how it's I know that the consistency is good because the stencil's not moving, so it is making a connection with the paper. Okay, so let's pull this baby off. See what we get. Very nice, very nice. Look at that. It's a little bit blurred together in the middle there, but I don't think it really matters. Like, I really don't. So we're gonna go ahead and pull over the last piece, and we're gonna use the store-bought modeling paste here. So give me just a second to clean up my palette knife, and then we'll be done. And I'm so excited, so excited to learn something new myself. So I'm going to grab a familiar stencil because I feel better about that. So hold on. So these are my my grab and go stencils, I call them. Let's see if we can find one that's speaking to me. Something that's a good stencil design. Actually, I think these letters would be fun in this case. Okay, let me just get it off the ring here. Boom. I've got a mess over here. I've got to wash those stencils off. Okay, so this is the store-bought. So I didn't do store over on that other one. Oh, we should, well, we didn't do store. So we'll do store, and then we'll do store. We're going to do add one more thing with color. We're going to just do it. We're going to use the same green paint. I'm going to show you what I was talking about, how it mutes down that color because you're adding a color to white to a white base. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's just go this way. Okay. And so we're going to use the, again, the store-bought. So this is Liquitex Flexible Modeling Paste, my all-time favorite. Ugh, come on, baby. The lid gets so cruddy. I'm not very good at cleaning it out, so. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to show you what a different, and then I can tell that this is thicker now that I'm visiting it, because see how it won't even come off the spoon? It won't come off the palette knife. So that tells me that if we want that same result, we need to make that even probably thicker. So I need to play around with that a little bit more. So we're just gonna, and it goes on smoother. Oh, this is why I like this stuff. But we're gonna be open-minded. I told you this is my year for change and challenge and exploring. So this is me exploring too, just as much as you. Okay? But it's super smooth. Goes on really, really easily. And you can see it's actually thinner as I scrape it off the top. It's thinner. So in terms of, I don't know what's making it thinner because it's thicker in the pot, but I feel like when it's coming off, it's more distinct. Look at that. So I don't know if you guys can see what I mean. We need to use that stencil again though, but that's the store-bought. So really, in fair comparison, I'm going to pull over this this stencil again. I'm going to wipe it off really quick, guys. It's going to be messy. That's pretty darn clean. Okay, let me get my towel and give it a little pat. Make sure it's not too wet. Okay. Yeah, not bad. I don't know if you can see what I mean, but I can tell that there's like fibrous bits that's holding the paint I'm not used to seeing. So now I want to add a little bit of color to this texture paste, okay? Just to show you what I'm talking about in terms of colorizing store-bought texture paste. So give me a second here. And then I gotta let you go. This is turning way longer than I planned, so my apologies, guys. Okay, I just want to get the dark color off because I don't want that to affect our end result of our blind study. It's our blind study. So I'm going to put a little bit of this texture paste on my mat. I mean on my glass, yeah, on my glass mat there. And I'm going to add some of that green paint, and you're going to see what I mean. Okay. It's going to change the constitution of the texture paste, and it's also going to lighten the green. So I'm going to put that much. That's probably about a teaspoon of paint, and I'm just going to use my palette knife and mix that up on my palette, on my glass mat. Oh, it's actually really not lightening it all that much. It's a pretty potent color. It's an artist acrylic. It's an artist grade, so it's pretty hardy. But hopefully you guys can see. It is lightening it now that I'm getting it mixed better, which is not a bad thing. If you start out with a dark color, you can always go lighter and not sacrifice the desired color. But I'm going to hold this palette knife up and show you the difference between this green and the green that's in our batch. So I don't know if you guys can tell that. Yeah, very obvious. So that's the difference, guys. Not a bad thing at all. But we're going to go ahead and just do this last stencil here, and just so you can see what this looks like as well. I can feel that the constitution of this texture paste is now different because we've added paint to it. So you do want to keep that in mind. It's sort of like acrylic paint. There's only a percentage of water that you can add to acrylic paint to thin it out before it changes the actual composition of the product, changes what the acrylic paint does, or how it holds up, or how it adheres to a surface. So those are things to keep in mind when you're kind of playing around. If you put too much water in acrylic paint, you can actually cause your acrylic paint to kind of slide off of your surface, your project. So there we go. So let's just pull that up. I can feel it's thinner, so let's see what kind of impression we get with the store-bought paint with this, or texture paste that's thinned out. So yeah, super runny, way more like the homemade. So look at the difference there. That's really interesting. Very interesting. So off camera, I think I'm going to try, after I clean those stencils, I'm going to try that one with the texture paste and see, because this is a different, distinct stencil. So it might be the stencil, the design of that stencil, that's causing this kind of mushed up area in here that's not as defined. But see, because the leaves don't look too bad. So it's very interesting. But anyway, that's it, guys. Homemade texture paste. 3 ingredients: baking soda, white glue, and acrylic paint, colored or white, depending on what you want to do. If you guys are interested in the other one, which is 1 part acrylic paint, 1 part talcum powder, and 1/2 part glue, let me know in the comments, and we'll come back and we'll do that in another video. So I will talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.